right, welcome to That Local Life. I'm your host, Tyler Simpson. Sydney cannot make it today. She had an appointment, so sucks for her that she can't be on, but we will continue anyway. I have a very special guest today here, Connor Trammell.
Yes,
Am I
sir.
saying that right?
Yep, that's
all right.
me.
He is an Ontario native, a longtime rancher, and just starting up his Red Rock Outfitters.
Red Rock Owyhee Outfitters.
Red Rock Owyhee Outfitters, fly fishing guide service. Connor, thanks for being on the podcast today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for getting me on. This is awesome.
Absolutely. This is your first one?
Yeah, this is my first podcast.
Yeah.
First podcast. I've only ever listened to them, and being on one, it's pretty exciting. This is pretty awesome setup.
Awesome. That is awesome. And how old are you?
I'm only 19 years old.
19?
I've lived in Ontario my whole life. Grew up farming and ranching around here out in Ontario Heights, and fishing has always been a really, really good passion of mine. And I figured, you know what, I'm pretty knowledgeable at it, pretty good at it. So I decided to step up. I was in the pro bass fishing circuit for about 4 years.
Wow.
So bass fishing was a really huge focus of mine, and I got into fly fishing from a really, really young age. Ever since I was in diapers, my parents would bring me up here, and I'd be out there fishing. And then I started writing my own book on it. Been writing a book on the Owyhee River for about 4 years. Been fly fishing it for about 7.
Nice.
And so I figured, you know what? I want to take the next step. I really want to dive into this some more and become, like these guys you see out on the river, like you watch these movies and it's just all dramatic music crescendo, like A River Runs Through It, for example, is a really, really good one. And, it was just, something just hit different. And I was like, you know what, that's what I want to do. I want to take the knowledge that I have and I want to share it with people. And, the few clients that I took out last year, honestly, just watching them be successful and having fun and catching fish with the knowledge that I implemented on them was absolutely just so much more fulfilling than catching that fish myself.
That is awesome. And being only 19, man, you're already kind of discovering what you love. That
Yes,
is
sir.
Very fortunate
Yeah.
to find that early on. I mean, that's where it all starts, is some of the passion. So I'm happy to see that, and happy that I stumbled upon you when you came in the store one day.
Yeah, it was
So
really cool.
It was absolutely awesome to have you on. How many clients have you had so far?
Right now I've had about 3.
Okay.
It was a little slow last year just because the advertising wasn't, I've never done this before, so I had absolutely no idea how to get out there. And so, I came in and I was asking here, I was like, hey, I got a poster I can put in the window. And you were like, just hop on the cast, man. I was like, sweet. But no, advertising was definitely one of my biggest issues. The only advertising I did was I made the Instagram page, Red Rock Owyhee Outfitter. Give it a follow. And I did that. And a lot of my close friends followed me, but they didn't really book trips like actual clients did. I gave out my number to some guys that were they were out of Sacramento, California. They come up here. They take a yearly trip up here. And don't know if they'll be back or not. I have a couple guys that are already scheduled for March. So, just trying to get out in the advertising.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a good start, I would say.
Yeah, this is a really
getting you out there to your followers.
Definitely.
Oftentimes, what I have found is that your closest friends aren't always your best clients. I mean, they might be your best advocates, but oftentimes it's going to come from repeat business, and just ask those guys to be like, hey, I hope you had a great experience. Can you recommend me to somebody?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, your biggest thing in that business is definitely word of mouth. And of course, on Instagram is catching that nice big trout or whatever.
Yeah, that nice big brownie you got.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, let's dive into your story a little bit. I know you're a longtime rancher. I mean, what kind of got your family into that?
Well, ranching and farming, more kind of like along the lines of both. So my grandfather is Steve Shaw, and his dad was Jim Shaw. Grew up in Malheur County.
Okay.
And Jim, from what I've been told the stories of, Jim bought the ranch. And he really didn't quite know what he was doing with it. And so my grandfather, Steve Shaw, got the deed when he was only 18 years old, and he's been running this multi-million-dollar farming business from the time he was 18, and he's still doing it. And so we had cattle and a bunch of farmland that we do. We don't have cattle anymore, but still got a bunch of farmland that we do. We're the third highest producer, and not highest producer, but there's a plaque that was on my grandpa's wall, and it was like the third place best hay in the state of Oregon.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, really, really good professional setup that we do. And he's got a really good client base. We have seasonal buyers that buy all of our hay. That's cool. So, really, really good name stake in the community. And then I was pretty young. I got enthralled in it from a young age, just sitting with grandpa in the tractor and learning how stuff works and growing up that way. I mean, I really didn't know really any other like form of lifestyle. Like I was always out on the farm, I was always on the ranch doing stuff, and so I had that mindset, and couldn't be more blessed or thankful for where I grew up and where I live. So
that is awesome. That is awesome, man. I mean, I imagine you've learned quite a bit of business aspects side from growing up in running the family business, but also that's going to translate directly into your fly fishing business as well.
Yeah,
that is awesome, man. Well, I'm certainly happy for you. Do you have a lady at home?
Yeah, I do actually. I have a girlfriend. Her name's Kelsey Deal, and plan is we're gonna get engaged here pretty soon and get married. So yeah, she's. Big question. Oh yeah, pop the big question. It's awesome. Her family's amazing. I love her family, and
that's cool,
her especially. Man. And yeah, she's a really, really big support of this. And our plan first was after we got married, we were gonna move down there. And then I was like, well, I got this business up here, and she was like, that's one part of the reason we're coming up here. And after we get married down in Klamath, we're gonna move up to Idaho, and so.
Nice. That is awesome. That's where she's from then.
Yeah,
down there?
Klamath Falls, deep southern Oregon.
Ooh,
so
nice. I do like that area. That area is very pretty.
I've only been down there once.
Yeah,
we went down there for spring break, and it was really, really cool.
I like it. I like it a lot. What part of Idaho are you guys moving to?
We're kind of thinking Parma. Parma, somewhere
like
close. Yeah, Parma's a good spot
That's
to be down in.
Still local.
Our careers are both taking us there. She's doing a crop science, and I'm pursuing a career in law enforcement. So.
Cool. So she's a farmer lady herself. Kind of in the industry. Anyway.
Kind of in the industry. Okay. She didn't grow up farming, but she got a job down there with one of her bosses, and she did crop inspections, and she was really, really interested in it, and came up here and did a transfer degree for it. So.
That is awesome. She's on the analytical side of the farming. That is also very, very important.
Yes.
That is cool, man. Well, I'm happy for you guys, and I hope it all works out for you.
Heck yeah, man.
Parma's a great area. I mean, I would love to move to Idaho myself.
Yeah.
Get out of all the politics from Oregon.
Man. Let me tell you.
It is absolutely a nightmare.
It's crazy.
Moment, but hey, can't knock it. I mean, we're here. We have thriving businesses, and
very much so.
We can't complain. So that is awesome, man. So. Back to your outfitting guide here. What's your plan with it? What's the future look like for Red Rock?
What I'd like to do is, well, it's already been way more than I thought it would. I mean, I was when I first had the idea to make this a thing, I was sitting in my room and I had my notebook and I was sitting there tying flies, and I was just like, just thinking of all this stuff, like, oh man, like marketing, sweatshirts, hats, all this like really, really cool merchandise that I could make for it. And then I thought, wait a second, I'm thinking of merchandise. I don't even have a client base yet. Like who's going to buy all this stuff? I'm going to spend all this money on merchandise when I have nobody to sell it to. And then it clicked. I was like, you know what? I should make, it was a thing I thought of, and it was on a whim. I kind of slept on it for about a week and a half. And I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I have enough confidence in my knowledge and skill set as an angler to where I can take people out and be successful. And the first trip that I took, and I saw that, like this guy, I go to church with him, really, really cool guy, Matthew Enstrom, and his uncle Rob. Uncle Rob, he had absolutely no idea what he was doing. He went out, never really fly fished before, and I took him out, gave him a couple casting lessons, and was really kind, respectful, and knowledgeable about like what works for me, and try to say what that might not work for you, especially in the casting aspect of it. And he got it down. We hit the first few couple spots, and the day was just absolutely dead. And the worst feeling as a guide is when people pay you and you take them out, and like for the first 4 hours, absolutely nothing happens. I didn't even see a rise, didn't even see any heads busting. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to switch it up. So we finally get to the second to last spot of the day, and he tosses it out there. A beautiful cast. I'm watching him because I was up in the higher rapid with his nephew, and he was in the lower rapid. And I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of coaching both of them. I'm not really fishing. That's not – I mean, I do. But I mostly want to – I'm there to teach. I want to take people out, and I want to watch them succeed with the knowledge and tools that I give them.
Absolutely.
And so we're sitting there, and I'm working with his nephew, and he's down there, and he's got the, what do you have? He had an 8-foot 5-weight rod, kind of a light setup for that river. Personally, I like a 6-weight, and he's just bent over. I'm like, oh, he's snagged. He's snagged. No, I see this huge head thrash in the rapid, and my heart just sinks. He had probably 2x tippet. It's really, really thin stuff. And I was like, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at his nephew. I'm like, dude, that's the fish of the day. He cannot lose this fish. So here I am in waders, all my gear, trudging down the river. Don't move. Don't do anything. Let me get the net. And he brings this. I thought it was gone. I got there. I scooped the net down, tried to lead her into the net. She thrashed her head again. I thought it was gone. Came up. It was in the net. And here's this big, almost 20-inch brown trout. I think when I measured it out, I think she was 18 and a quarter, 18 and a half. And he was just 10-mile wide smile.
That's amazing.
And it was the coolest thing. Like, honestly, I don't think I would have enjoyed it that much if I would have caught the fish myself. Because seeing him, like, excited about something that he really had no knowledge about. Right. You know, I mean, I'm sure he's done it. He told me he had a little experience in it. But just seeing that, the end product, them smiling with the fish, it was just like, that set it in stone for me. Because they were kind of my trial run. They were like my trial. They were my first people I took out, seeing how it would work. And I knew them, so it kind of helped a little bit with the not being so awkward aspect of it. And providing knowledgeable information, not only about the fishing, but about the area and the river and the canyon itself. So
that's awesome. Dude, that is incredible. I mean, especially in a service like that. I mean, those are the moments that you're looking for.
Exactly.
I mean, you'll spend 8 hours all day fishing, and then they'll catch that one fish right at the end of the day, and it makes the entire
trip worth it.
That's amazing.
And that's what he said. He goes, you know, even if we don't catch any more fish, he goes, my day's already made. And we still had another 4 hours of fishing. We went and we caught more fish after that.
Oh, that's cool.
But I mean, it was the greatest thing. I think in total we ended up with just a smorgasbord day. We went out after that I call it the icebreaker fish. That's one really nice,
I like that term.
Big brown. I think after that we got about 32 fish.
Oh,
I think
wow, that's amazing.
4 of them were over 17 inches.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So absolutely,
that's a good day.
Awesome day on the river.
That's cool. That is cool.
Cannot complain.
I am not much of a fisherman, so please educate me a little bit. What kind of setup do you look for? What's a good beginner rod setup? Reels, line? What are you looking for? Educate me, please.
Well, about that, it's not necessarily in your skill level. It's because you can go and you can ask any guide business, you can ask any fly shop owner, you can ask any flip pallet. You know, Flip Pallet's one of those guys who's been doing this. He's been in the industry for 67 years. You know, he's an amazing saltwater fly angler. They all have different opinions. Sure. Everybody, especially when they ask, you know, they come forward and they go, hey, what should I use? What is really good for me to start with? And I'm like, well, can you lift your arm up and put it down in front of you? And they go, yeah, I can do that. And you just made a fly cast. It's not overly complicated. And I like to view it more of, it's an art. It's definitely an art form. And it's a dying art, which is really, really sad. A lot of people, I feel like this older generation, that they haven't got their kids into it, you start seeing it. It's not like it's dying off, but it's not as popular as it was.
Gotcha.
And so when people ask, they go, and so when people asked, they're like, so what should I start with? It's like, well, if you've never done it before, honestly, to simplify your question, kind of went off there. To simplify your question, anything you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Anything you can pick up and put down, because that's what you're doing.
Right.
The weight of your fly line transfers to your leader, to your tippet, to your fly, and it just transfers over. So it's not hard. I taught my 2-year-old cousin how to fly cast. Just took him out in the yard, and he just up there flailing it around, you know, like a maniac. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
That's beautiful.
And so eventually it got to the point to where he could lay it up and lay it down flat.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, like,
that's cool.
And what you see, and I had one guy ask me, actually called me, or he didn't call me, he emailed me asking me this question. He was like, so I'm watching a river runs through it. Like, everybody always references that movie. They're like, and he's doing this thing. I'm like, that's movie casting. Like, as cool as it would be able to do that in real life. One, it's not practical. Two, it's not real. So, just a couple of those things. But if I were to take you out on the river right now, I would give you one of my rods.
Okay. So
Easy.
you have equipment and stuff
I
for
have,
people to use on it, on a basis kind of so far?
My mother and my girlfriend have a very different opinion on how much gear is too much gear.
Ooh, that's
So,
an age-old question there.
oh man, I tell you, it's great. But no, I would give you one of my rods. I have a 9-foot 5/6 weight rod with slow sinking fly line.
Okay.
It's probably one of the easiest setups you will ever use.
Mm-hmm.
It's very user friendly, and a lot of people get really intimidated by fly fishing. I find it really funny.
I feel intimidated. Trust me.
Honestly,
I
man,
do.
well,
Yeah.
See,
Never done it.
And that's the thing. Like when I first started, I never had any formal lesson.
Okay.
You know, I just said I got a fly rod and I was like, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try this. And so literally hours. And this is what I tell people, like when you're passionate about something to the point to where you want to teach other people and you want them to be good at it, the sacrifices you have to make. And you think, oh, you're just, you know, it's fly fishing. No. What about, like, look at professional football players, professional dirt bikers. These guys are spending hours and hours upon hours doing the same repetitive thing over and over again. I spent all winter, my first Christmas, I got it all winter, all summer, out in my yard, day and night, snow, rain, sleet, hail. Mom's got pictures of it. I'm out there with a fly rod getting everything perfect to the point to where I could we have a shrub bush, put a 5-gallon bucket behind it to where I could cast around the corner and wrap the tippet around the handle.
Oh, that's amazing.
So being able to have that skill level and show it to people, be like, this isn't something to be scared of. This is just as normal as putting your shoes on or like any other form of fishing. It's actually easier to do fly fishing than it is to use a bait caster.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's really, it's all up to the individual person that you ask, because I'm going to tell you something different than a fly shop owner would. Like, what do I start with? Of course, they're going to try to sell you a product.
They're going to ask for different questions.
Yeah, they're going to ask different questions. They're going to try to sell you a product. So they're going to be like, okay, so you want to do this, you want to do that, and get all this technical numbers. And as a beginner, you're going to go, well, what does any of that mean? Me, I'm going to be like, I'm going to hand you a fly rod and be like, okay, what can you do with it? You know, like, there's nothing to be scared of. This is just a normal piece of equipment.
Okay.
And so I took that approach when I started teaching people. I was like, because they asked me the same thing. They're like, well, what's a good beginner fly rod? Okay, well, here's mine. What can you do with it? And for them, they just pick it up and they started doing the motions and the movement. And I gave them a few gentle, like, hey, try this, hold your arms in more. And at the end of the day, they were catching fish.
Well, that is interesting. I love that aspect that you're teaching me here. It's you're not necessarily trying to sell me some equipment, which I originally thought you were going to go down. You were actually demonstrating the ability, what you have to do in order to become successsible at fly fishing.
Exactly.
That is very powerful, and at such a young age. I'm glad that you are learning that. That's cool, man.
That means a lot.
That means that means you're going to go far. I mean, you're just hearing your passion, and I hope people can hear your passion through this podcast here. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I definitely appreciate you.
I'm kind of keeping it a bit under wraps because, like I said, this is.
You got your age-old secrets. You got to keep under wraps.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's all right. Well, that's cool, man. Okay, so you kind of gave me the basis of how to fly fish. I mean, what am I looking for on the water? If I'm going out there, I'm on the river, what kind of spots are you looking for?
What time of the year are you on the water?
Oh, good question. How about fall?
Fall. Like right now the browns are starting to spawn. So it's October 28th. It's the end of October. Honestly, you're going to want to be doing a lot of your terrestrial insects are pretty much out of the picture. Okay. Because there's really not much of that around anymore. It was a really weird hatch for us this year. So as far as following the hatch, and you gave me one of the hardest seasons of the year too, is fall.
I got to spring one on you here.
Zebra midge.
Okay.
So what you're looking for in fall is spawning habitat. Right now, especially in October, you're looking for that spawning habitat. You're looking for those runs in the river to where the river kind of narrows down and you have these, I like to call them mood channels. They're not quite slow. It's not quite white water, but it's just enough to where the water oxygen level is high enough to where they can spawn and drop eggs. So I'd be looking for water about 1.5 feet in depth, maybe 2 feet at the max, just because there's that sweet spot. Trout are really sensitive. I mean, you'll be standing on the bank. Their lateral line is so in tune, they can feel your heartbeat. just standing on the bank. I mean, they are so in tune with their surroundings, especially the larger they are.
Mm-hmm.
So in water temperature wise and oxygen levels, they can feel it fluctuate, and it fluctuates often, especially with them releasing water in and out of the dam and the temperature changing during the day. You've always got to be, I mean, it's not going to be one spot during the day. And as a guide, I have to consciously be turning those gears and making those decisions of, you know, testing the water temperature, what the flow is, what the air temp is. It's like, you got to look at these things in order to be like, okay, this is what, not what I think, like, this is what I know the fish are doing. And it's that years of experience that add up to that.
Of course.
To where you can be like, okay, time, place, temperature, date, right here.
Wow.
Leading up to that. And
That's
as soon as that client places that fly, and you see that big brown head come out of the water and just engulf that, whatever you're using, that's when the adrenaline kicks. That everything that you do, everything that I do leading up to that, the hours staying up, tying flies, reading books, writing books, it all leads up to that one moment. As soon as that head breaks that surface and you see it bite that fly, that is the key moment in how you know everything that you've done, everything led up to that moment.
That sounds like an incredible moment. I'm going to have to experience that for myself. So I heard you mentioned that you're writing a book. What are you writing a book on? Give me a second to get a drink there.
Yeah. Right now, my book is basically my experiences up there. What I've done, and it's kind of like a knowledge guide / outdoor diary. You know, I'll go up there and I'll just sit, and it's all about the fish. For me, it's all about the trout. So I'll go up there, and whenever we go camping up there, or whenever I'm up there by myself, I will sit by, after I'm done for the day, after I've taken my waders off, all my gear's put away, I'll sit with a notebook and a pencil, and I'll just write everything that I experienced up there throughout the day. Some days will be more technical than others. Yeah. Some days will be like, okay, well, 2:38 p.m., size 7 midge hopper, 2.5 miles from the drain, and it'll be way like technical down to the last detail and number. And then there are some days where it's like, you know, I get really philosophical with it. I'm like, okay, well, today was a slow day. Why was I unsuccessful? And I sit on that question. And there's probably a lot of people that would sit out there and be like, yo, this guy's crazy. He didn't catch a fish, and he's sitting there pondering the question, and he lets it bother him for like a week. Yes, I do, because that is true passion.
Beautiful.
When you don't get something, and it's just fishing. I strongly disagree with the people who say, oh, fishing is just a game of luck. No, fishing is complete skill. You have to be able to know when, where, what, why, and how in order to be a successful angler. And so I get really philosophical on it, and it bothers me. It's like, okay, I just had 4 days of the best fly fishing of my life. You know, throughout this 1 week, nothing's changed. All of a sudden, the fish are just gone. And I sit there and I'll think about it, and I'm like, okay, why? And then when I think I get my hypothesis correct and go out, and the next few trips I go out, I'm testing that and breaking it apart and figuring it out.
Wow.
Until I become successful.
And here I just thought fishing was just casting a pole. Yeah, we got a whole philosophical question here. We got all the way down to the detail. Man, that is incredible. Thank you for sharing your experiences with me.
Yeah.
That is very cool. So what I'm gathering from this book is it's kind of like a story almost, like Connor's Tales, if you will.
Much,
I mean, that's kind of cool. Are you going to break it down into different series, different when are you planning on releasing this book, man? Been writing it for a while. When's the release date?
I have no idea. It's honestly just kind of until I feel comfortable with, like, if I want to release it. That's the question. I mean, because there's a lot of, I don't want to say like private information in there, but it, like, if you were to read it, it probably wouldn't make sense to you.
Right.
Like, it's not really written in the format of a story. It's just my random thoughts and strategies and keys and of my experiences over the years.
Well, it would be interesting to see if you could actually take some of that and turn it into somewhat of a technical book that someone who beginner fly fisher could come
They
in
would
and
really like
and
to
read
be
and
into
like,
it.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, this is what that means. This is kind of the basic idea of casting. I mean, this is what you're looking for in the water.
Yeah, this is what you want to.
That's cool.
Stuff like that.
That's
I
cool.
mean,
I'd definitely be interested in learning more about that as I do live in an area where fly fishing is very very big. I
Yeah.
would say. I mean, I think the Owyhee River's nationally ranked in the country. I believe it's top 20.
Top
if
20.
If
made
I
the cover
remember
of
right.
Field and Stream magazine 3 different times.
Oh, that's amazing. I did not know that fact. So that is cool. That is cool. Yeah, I mean, and we're located right here on the store. So I'm going to kind of get into some technical jargon here.
Okay.
I do sell flies. I don't have a ton of knowledge around it. What kind of flies do you use depending on the time of year? So, like, take me through all the seasons. What are you using?
Change up seasonally, honestly. So early spring around here, every local Owyhee fly angler knows you're going to be getting into early April, early May. You're going to be using BWO. That's your blue winged olives.
Okay.
And it's a variant of mayfly that they hatch really early in the year, and they look like a blue winged olive. They look like an olive. They're blue, kind of greenish tint to them. So honestly, what I recommend is get yourself a hatch chart for the Owyhee River.
Okay.
That's what I go off of. Well, I use that very, very loosely. It's what I go off of because the hatch chart is almost never right. But just like your basic flies, I mean, here honestly, what I could really recommend to help your business do is, one, a lot of guys around here, and this isn't something to feel bad about. A lot of guys around here tie their own flies. Me personally, as like if clients don't have flies, I bring them here.
Right.
Be like, you want to buy flies from here, just to kind of help with that your business aspect of it. Popular flies, woolly buggers.
Okay.
Everybody loves woolly buggers. Everybody fishes with a woolly bugger. Oh, yeah, that's the crazy thing. You can get in some really interesting names.
I have
with
some flies that I'm like, holy cow. I mean,
like,
these are some intricate names.
Interesting names. Yeah, bass guys look at us like we're weird because we're naming all these flies.
You guys are the philosophical fishermen of the world.
Very much so. All the purists and all that. What is it? It's not the Game Changer. There's one. It's called the Sex Dungeon. It's a double jointed streamer, big old huge gnarly looking fly.
I love that.
But just seasonally, see what sells good. Honestly, I recommend if you're gonna go through about mid-June to about the end of August, I'd go with hoppers.
Okay.
Honestly, that is the best time on the river, and if anybody out there is looking to book a trip, I highly recommend about mid-June to about the end of August.
There you go.
Anywhere through there, because they just absolutely gorge themselves on grasshoppers.
Okay.
I mean, so for you, I definitely, in different sizes, start selling hoppers.
Okay.
I mean, you'll probably make really, really good money off of that. And yeah, oh man, almost every fish we netted, they just burp up hoppers. I mean, little tiny grasshoppers, probably 30 of them in one stomach.
Wow, that's crazy.
So, and you can kind of know what people are using and see what people are using, because I've found so many rigs in the bushes of like the hopper droppers.
Yeah.
It's like you got your hopper up top, a little midge on the bottom, just sitting there. Streamers, you can never go wrong with streamers. Call them meat chuckers.
Meat chuckers.
Meat chuckers. It's like you go out with the guys. And you're like, hey, get out the meat stick. That's my 8-weight Orvis Encounter fly rod, and that is strictly my streamer rod.
Okay.
So yeah, get out the meat stick. We're gonna chuck meat. There's
I love it.
I think Orvis made stickers, or it was Lakes, Rivers, and Streams, called Meat Chucker.
Oh,
it's
that's
like
funny.
a streamer sticker. It was cool.
Funny. That is cool. That's cool. Okay, what about fall time? I think you mentioned zebra midges.
Zebra midge in fall time. Yeah, right now you might want to sell a lot of your smaller based flies, smaller targets, because
so like
after
16s and 18s.
16s, 18s, I'd even go 22.
20s?
Honestly, get into the 20s range. Right now, I don't know, it's weird. The browns and the rainbows, their spawn times really don't line up. They're not supposed to. Brown spawn, well, you see the signs up there when you go up, the red zones, October through March. They're done spawning. Like, eggs are hatched by as early as December, maybe mid-November. Got that fly bug in you.
That fly bug flying around here.
About
Do you use it as
mid-November. Yeah, right? Speaking of flies, there he is. Around mid-November, all the fry are hatched.
Okay.
They say you don't want to...